What is going on with Alec Baldwin this time? He recently announced that he was deleting his Twitter account after lashing out at people who were asking about his daughter Lucia and his wife Hilaria. He seems to have lost his mind in recent months. I have a theory why.
But I deactivated my Twitter account today.
Look, none of this is important, obviously, but it's mostly really weird. I mean, what is going on with this two? Alec Baldwin has had enough and closed his Twitter account for like the 7th time. Mostly because people asked him where his last baby came from, considering he just had one 5 months ago. He told everyone to mind their own business or go f*** yourself. Well then, don't post on Instagram maybe? And also, what was so bad about telling that this one came via surrogate? There's nothing wrong with that. And it was going to come out anyway. That would have diffused the tension right then and there. The last drop though seemed to have been the comment he made on Gillian Anderson switching accents at the Golden Globes. I mean, she was home actually, but anyway. The whole of Twitter came after him, pointing out that the case with Gillian Anderson is very different from his wife's. Mostly because there's proof that Gillian Anderson, although she was born in Chicago, she did live in the UK from age 2 to 11, and she's lived there since 2002. So in her case, it makes sense that her accent is fluid. So his wife Hilaria has been talked about a lot, but I want to focus on him for a second. Alec Baldwin is one of my favorite actors. You know, I grew up with his movies. You know, The Hunt for Red October, Glengarry Glen Ross, Beetlejuice, The Edge. I even listened to his podcast. And I feel bad because I feel like he's been slowly but surely losing his mind over the past few years. Alec, I love you. Please come back to Earth. I first heard about his wife a little after 30 Rock ended. At the end, he was really overweight and then entered this woman into his life who's a yoga instructor. And she basically brings him back into shape. Great. Oh, and she's Spanish too. Okay, whatever. So then I see him in various interviews quoting his wife in this really like dumb and borderline offensive accent.
Okay, I can't wait to see you. That's going to be great. Fantastic. What time? 12 o'clock? My wife is from Spain. And she said, blah, blah, blah. And blah, blah, blah. I don't mean to be racist when I put that accent on there. And now, so she'd be like, I have to pee every 5 minutes. I can't believe it.
And then one day he does it on the Howard Stern show.
And my wife will come in and be like, you know, Alec, what good does this do for you to be so upset?
And then 2 years later, he's on the show again and they decide to FaceTime her. At this point, I had never heard her. And then she opened her mouth.
Doesn't she look like a drug dealer's wife right there? Isn't it amazing?
Yeah, she looks like she's married to Pablo Escobar.
She does.
Right, yes.
She looks like she just got off the plane from Medellin.
Hilaria, when you have a husband like Alec Baldwin, everyone wants him. Everyone wants a piece of him. Everyone's trying to get, near him. How do you keep...
Or trying to handcuff him.
Right. How do you... Or handcuff him, depending on the day. How do you keep the romance alive?
You know what we're really good at? He said to me one time, he said, you're my wife, but you're also my girlfriend.
What?
This is a Valley girl. What's going on here? And Howard Stern doesn't even flinch or make a comment on it. I mean, what is going on here? He has no reason whatsoever to make that accent when he's quoting her. I mean, did she used to have an accent and now she doesn't anymore? This was January 2020, so this was months before the whole Hilaria Baldwin drama kicked off. He's joking that she's from Medellin, which is in Colombia, and that's very different from Spain. More on that later. So after doing some investigation, and there are tons of videos of her that are misleading, by the way, she's very clever at lying by omission. Meaning what she's saying is technically true, but it's very misleading.
I mean, I lived in a smaller than this room apartment in New York. In New York, and with just like a bed and a dresser and
so
and one chair.
With your parents?
No. I moved here when I was 19 to go to NYU. And from my family lives in Spain. They live in Mallorca.
Okay.
You see, Hilaria Baldwin's parents are completely American. They are not Spanish at all whatsoever. So the correct answer here would have been, no, they're from America, but they live in Spain now.
And from my family lives in Spain. They live in Mallorca.
Okay.
It's like being asked, is this chicken cooked properly? And then replying, I've checked it. Well, is it or not? And you know what? She actually has no reason to mention Spain here at all. To cut a long story short, her parents are already into Spain, and so they bought a place there, and they vacation there 1 or 2 months at a time every summer. Hilaria was born in Boston, and that's also where she was educated. How bizarre. Americans have complained about her pretending to be a Latina or a person of color, but that's also inaccurate. Spanish people are European, not Latinos. And Spain is predominantly a Caucasian country. Let's have a look at the Spanish football team, for example. And now let's look at the Colombian football team. They really only share the language. But she doesn't seem to know that either. Look at this clip, which is really creepy.
Like, look at my skin color. And look at your skin color. Who's dark?
Yeah.
What the f***? Seriously. Hey kid, look. You're nothing like me. She claimed that they had to bring tons of family members from Spain for their wedding.
35 or 40 of my family members come from Spain.
We're going to go to España to see my family.
Oh,
He's
you're gonna
never
bring
been
him
to Spain.
He's never.
Well, we brought Spain to him for the wedding, but now he's got to go.
Even though in this video she only says her parents and nephew are there.
My family, my brother, my parents, my nephew, everybody is over there in Spain now.
So who were these people? Just friends, I guess, because no one can trace a single Spanish person in her entire background. What's messed up is that Hola magazine did a whole profile on her, and in a way she took the place of a legit Spanish person there. So where does Alec Baldwin fit into all of this? Because maybe he married a crazy person without knowing? That happens? You'd think they would have had a conversation behind the scenes, you know. Honey, what's with all this stuff online about you not being from Spain? Are you not from Spain? I mean, I had noticed you sound like a valley girl, but what is this? Terrible impression. And then she would have confessed to him that, yeah, she exaggerated that a little bit just to be more interesting and maybe mostly to him. And then they would have crushed the whole thing and stopped pretending and move on. But no, he doubled down. In this bizarre video, he's blaming the media for lying.
And you have to consider the source. There's things that have been said lately about people that I love, that I care about deeply, which are ridiculous. I mean, just ridiculous. Consider the source. Consider the source.
Are they not sharing notes at home to get their story straight? I mean, she just admitted she's from Boston.
There's been some questions about where I'm born. I'm born in Boston.
He's also right about the media writing lies, and he's probably biased because most of his adult life, that's what they've been doing. That's what's happened to him. They would write nonsense about him. But he forgets that the evidence is all there on video nowadays. Remember all these clips of him quoting her in a Spanish accent? Why? She doesn't have an accent. Where does this come from? Here's where I think it comes from. Alec Baldwin lost his mind when Donald Trump became president. And it probably didn't help that he had to play him over and over again on SNL. And so began a sort of disdain for America, therefore seeking to be from another place. Of course he can't hide that he's just a guy from Long Island, so he took a deep bath into his wife's tiny drop of Spanish heritage, which she doesn't have anyway. That allowed him to give Spanish names to his kids too. If you look at the last few comments he made before shutting his account, they're very much directed towards America and Americans. America is this, America is filled with that. He seems to be completely done with the country, even though I'm sure a lot of these comments came from other countries. Probably Spain even. He's losing his mind and becoming more and more disconnected from reality, which wasn't helped by what's been happening for the past year. There seems to be a real desire to push his wife into the spotlight, almost as if they have agreed upon this before they got married. You know, like, hey, I'm not gonna be just your wife, I'm not gonna be Alec Baldwin's wife, which is totally fine, totally understandable.
I have a special guest for you.
Hilaria, hi.
Hi, how are you?
She's always tagging along in interviews, and so it looks like some publicists told them like, oh, I like that Spanish angle you have there. Yeah, you need to go deeper on that. We need to go full steam ahead with it. This is your brand now. So what do you make of this? Any conspiracy theory is welcome here. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. It's free. See ya!